All right, here we go. Here we go.
Hello there.
Hello.
Y'all all right? I know. It has been a tough week, right? And baby, it's been a tough 2025 and we are still in January. But I know many of you are asking and have asked and sent me messages about the recent DEI announcements at Target as well. And as disheartening as it is for me, I'm not the only one affected by this, right? It's for everyone who um, is a woman owned business, minority owned businesses, Black owned businesses. Um, it's for so many of us who work so very hard to be placed into retail, to finally be seen and approved for retail. Because, contrary to whatever the world might tell you, it has been very hard for Black owned businesses um, to hit shelves, right? Which is why it's such a big deal when we do finally land inside of retail. So it is definitely heartbreaking to feel unsupported, right? Um, However, I am in business in multiple ways with Target, with Walmart, um, and Amazon, right? I sell Donna's Recipe, my hair care products, right? Or on Amazon. They're also in Target. And of course, I have a huge partnership uh, with Target. I sell my seasonings at Walmart. I do business all over, just like many other people. And what I can tell you is if we all decide to boycott and be like, no, we're not spending no money at these organizations, listen, I get it. And if that's how you feel, honey, I 1000% get it. But so many of us will be affected, and our sales will drop, our business will be hurt. And if any of you know business, it doesn't just happen overnight where you can just go take all your stuff and pull it off the shelves. There's a process, and then you gotta like where you gonna put it? You gotta have a place to store it. That's money, right? You gotta have another place to sell it, which is almost impossible sometimes. And even if you sell online, it's a process when it comes to business. And everyone does not have the funds or the means or the availability, the space to house their own products, right? But the thing that concerns me the most, and I want you to hear me and hear me well, if we all decide to stop supporting said businesses and say, you know, I can't buy nothing from there, even the businesses who were affected by the DEI ban, right? What that does is you take all our sales and they dwindle down. And then those companies get to say, oh, your products are not performing. And they can remove them from the shelves and then put their preferred businesses on the shelves. And then what happens to all the businesses who've worked so hard to get where they are?
Okay, so let me say this, y'all. I absolutely appreciate this perspective from Tabitha as somebody that actually, this is going to affect her because it's like, okay, she already has a contract with Target. She's already in there. Is she going to be renewed? Is the question. And if her sales drop because, people decide to stop purchasing at Target or Walmart, um, will that then affect Black business anyway? And see, this is the trick bag. And that's why I feel like something else needs to be done. Like we can no longer move like we did in the 60s. Back then, things were more separate. They were literally fighting the separate but equal. which mean that black people had black businesses to go to and white people had white businesses to go to. It was easier for black people to boycott an area or boycott, it would, to me, I'm saying it's easier, but like the bus boycott, not easy. You know what I'm saying? You got to find people to get in the car. Who got a car? We black. A lot of people ain't got no car. You know what I'm saying? But nowadays, the way we are integrated, the very thing we fought for, the way we are integrated into society at this point with some of these companies, it is extremely hard to actually have a boycott that would matter. And I found this out after January 6th. At the end of the day, one of the co-owners of one of my favorite grocery stores in our city, Rouse, decided they wanted to take their rich asses down to Washington, D.C. to act a fool on January 6th. A lot of us tried to pull our business from Rouse because of that. And I stopped going for a long time. This is when I start actually going to, I'll drive all the way to Whole Foods or order from Fresh Market on Instacart or some shit like that. But it's becoming not as, it's not as easy. It's not as easy to go all the way across town 20, 30 minutes away in order to go get something I need to get from the store because there are no Whole Foods over here. So a lot of the times the only options that people have in their area that is close to them is an option that has basically pulled back DEI initiatives and showcased that their support for the black community in a real corporate manner is dependent upon who's in the White House and what is advantageous to them in the moment. What's hip in the moment. And I honestly feel like that's been happening ever since we integrated. And at this point, it's very hard to boycott in a way that makes sense. I feel like we need to be thinking about other ways. Like we really do need to be thinking about other ways. Okay. Um, Also, I understand what Tabitha is saying. Like at the end of the day, this may cause black people to stop shopping there or a large number of people to stop shopping there, which means Tabitha's products aren't being purchased anymore as much. That's going to give them a reason to pull her off the shelves and not re-sign her contract. They have DEI initiatives, but if they're already working with these black companies and this is working now, this being put out there about them pulling back their DEI initiatives, that will then, I believe, also cause issue. So it's a lot of different factors. And I think that we need to think about what to do in this situation that is not just a black people thing. And that's not to say I don't get it, black people. I do. Like, it's always us that gets the short end of the stick in these situations. But y'all, this is like a universal thing that's happening here. And I think the fact that a lot of us want to stay in our own boxes, like I saw, the deportations are going on and they're like going into schools. I saw a teacher called ICE on his students. Like that insane types of fucked up things are happening. And the idea that as long as it's not happening to you, that means it's okay. Black people mind your business. That shit. When black women said we're not going to be taking up any capes, we meant we're not going to be taking on any bigger load than anybody else, but we're still going to be affected. So not being involved or not feeling any way at all, I feel like is also not the answer. I can't exactly tell you what I think is the answer at this point, but I always want to be a person that is checking myself in these times, in these environments. And if you are handling other groups of people the way racist people handle black people, you're not going down a good road. I want to make that very clear. I feel like a lot of the mentality is, we can't really only worry about ourselves at this point. We are literally too intermingled into this society for that to be realistic. Like, I don't know what to tell y'all. And I feel like this has been going on for a long time. And this headline is also misleading because not once did I hear her say that anybody should not boycott. She's just giving you the perspective of what can happen. If the idea is to support black business, this may not be the route as far as boycotting. And for a lot of people, they're not going to really want to boycott, because Target is the closest store to their house, and that's where they go to get whatever they need throughout the week. And they're not going to change that because now we're in this environment where everybody's pulling back DEI initiatives until the next 4 years, and somebody else convinces them that that was wrong, and then they're going to change their mind for 5 fucking minutes. Like we're on a goddamn tilt-a-whirl. We just keep going around and around and around and around, and it's exhausting. It's really, really tiring and exhausting. And I think most people just want to live their lives to the best of their capabilities. But I still want everybody to understand sticking your head in the sand is not going to do you any favors in the long run. Because that's the same mentality that these white people have, that felt like, Trump being a president was not going to harm them. And now they're like crying and shit and sending letters to Trump because they thought they were going to be exempt. And it's wild that you thought that. It's wild that you thought that. Okay. Um, in Brooklyn, it's very easy to boycott change. That's probably because y'all have more like local stores, right? Don't y'all have like bodegas and shit? Like y'all have stores owned by like families and stuff that you can get stuff from. That's not always the case here. So now what we might have to do is start opening our own grocery stores and opening our own versions of Target. Can we do that, Black people? Because essentially I feel like what I see Black people doing more so than not is creating products to put in other people's stores. I don't see them actually creating the stores. You see what I'm saying? Nope. Rouse has started having super low prices again. Like, like my eggs are not that expensive when they have them. When they have them, and don't even get me started on how good the Rouse's food can be, child. You go in there just for a box of fried chicken, right quick, right? It's too hard. And I feel like, yes, in New York, y'all have more options, and that's realistic for y'all. And that's great. But that is not the way the rest of the world is built. The rest of the world is built in neighborhoods with long roads and interstates in between them and major, city areas. And even in places like New Orleans, like we still never had, we always had to rely on a Walmart or some grocery store chain or Walgreens or the mall. Like it was never really any mom and pop stores like that you could really just go and get shit from. Like that's not a realistic thing everywhere. So even though I'm glad that other places can do that, it's very hard to do it, do it out here. We don't have a Sprouts. You know what I mean? We have an Aldi now, and I'll definitely be down to the Aldi. Okay, because the Aldi was on the list that doesn't get involved. But I also feel like on some level as a person, like some of this shit, like, are we really gonna sit back and watch a Holocaust like event happen in this country again and then act, like to me, that's what we're going down the road of. Like we're literally going down the road of being in a like Nazi Germany type of country. And I think that everybody acting like it's not going to happen to them is not is not helping. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I'm gonna go down to the Aldi because they just opened in my neighborhood. So I'm gonna go check them out. Boycott by reducing your spending. That I could definitely do. That I could definitely do. Child, listen. I told y'all I already lost my Tasha check now. Okay, so I gotta find another way to implement that income. And one of the ways I'm gonna implement that income, besides Bondi Blue Bites and this other project that I'm working on, which actually costs money. So I have to like get the money in order to pay for the products. Girl, it's so much. But in the process of doing that, I'm like, girl, you can't be ordering DoorDash as much. You got to get your ass up and go to the store. So like this means like I'm probably gonna get a schedule going so that I can cook more often. So we'll have more things in the refrigerator because it's still cheaper to go to the grocery store and then have food that we've cooked than for us to keep going to the store. Like we went to Costco last weekend, girl, and got a big thing of like lobsters and steaks. Girl, the steak was so tender. I said, "Oh, really, Costco? Oh, really?" My husband went and got a Costco card, and I was just like, "Okay, let's go to Costco." Like, girl, he be like, "You want to go somewhere?" I be like, "Yeah." So I just get in the car, and I just be like, "Where we going?" Okay, so we go to Costco, And even though like it was so much because it was right before the snowstorm, so like everybody's like stacking up. But I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take that card on a regular, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when all the rest of you hoes at work, and I'm trying to go where there's not as many people because the stuff that we were able to get from Costco has been feeding us all week and we have not had to order anything. So yeah, girl, nothing happened. We cool. It's just, you know, they don't want to pay for my content anymore. And I imagine that's because they may have other shit to pay for. And I'm not upset. I'm not upset. I understand. I hope we can, work together in the future. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely just a check I gotta figure out how to get back. That's why I don't understand why everybody acts so callous and fucked up about people, losing TikTok as a check. Like it's still a check, bitch. Like what's wrong with y'all? Like in this economy, we need all the money we make. We need all the money we make out here. But I'm gonna cut down on DoorDash. I'm gonna start cooking more. Probably start waking up earlier in the day, most days, so that I can get more done. Because a lot of the times I'll be, pushing myself to do a lot, but I get up late. And so by the time we get to the end of the day, it just seems easier to just, order stuff than getting up and making stuff. I need to plan better. That's me. Um, but yeah, girl, it's a lot going on out there. And I know we're all stressed out about it. And plus, I'm reading the parable of the sower right now, girl. Girl, the parable of the sower is basically like, girl, if y'all read that book, it to me, it basically talks about the time that we're entering and what it's going to be like slavery for everybody. And where people are just trying to break in to anybody's house that they can break into and steal shit because food is not as available and jobs aren't as available. And it's hard. And so people are literally like having to put walls around their neighborhoods in order to protect themselves from the thieves and the vagrants and the homeless people that are gonna run up in their shit and try to steal from them. So like, I'm reading the parable of the sower, and the book I feel like just makes me want to be so on guard as far as like making sure you have water, making sure you have non-perishable food and shit like that. Just on stock, just in case, you never know. But to tell the truth, y'all, I don't want to live through that. I don't want to live through that. Take me now. I do not want to live through that. A part of me feels like, child, I'm gonna go anyway. I don't want to live through that. You know what I mean? So it's a lot, y'all. It's so much. And I really hope that things can get lighter at some point. I'm praying for that. I'm praying that this is like the dark night before before the dawn, before the sunrise, child. I'm hoping because a lot of the time these negative and fucked up things that are being hidden have to be unveiled. And when things are being unveiled, they have to be broken down. And then when they're broken down, then we can build them back up to fix them. But that's why I feel like our mindsets and the way we think about things is so important. And I really want everybody who watches me to recognize how the transphobia, the homophobia, the racist, like all of those things, it leads to more of the same. So when Black people have been abused the way they have, but then adopt these same mentalities to trans and gay people that this is how they should be handled because you don't like them or you don't agree. To me, it makes me feel like we're just gonna keep doing this because y'all don't realize that mentality is the same mentality that keeps you in bondage. It's the same mentality that keeps you in bondage because essentially you feel like there's some group of people out there whose human rights don't matter. And I want y'all to know that all people's human rights should matter. Because if everybody's getting rights, then we don't have to keep fighting about who has rights and who doesn't. A lot of these mentalities that y'all hold so close to the vest, and feel like it's a good idea. Like this is supposed to be an idealistic place. America is supposed to be like a free place. So people are supposed to be free to live how they live here. The infiltration of this very, we all have to be the same mindset that y'all have, I think is a thing that is going to harm us in the long run. It's what continues to harm us in the long run. So when y'all, y'all little aunties and the cousins and the mamas and the sisters and the uncles and the brothers, and y'all are homophobic and y'all treat y'all family members bad, or y'all are rude or nasty to people because you think it's okay to be that way because that's not you. Like, that type of mentality is how we continue to roll ourselves into hell.